My wife, Emily, laughed the instant the judge's pen touched the divorce papers. The courtroom fell silent, but her laugh cut through it like a knife. Sharp, mocking, victorious. She didn't even glance at me as she turned, only tossed her hair back and whispered to her lawyer, loud enough for me to hear. He was holding me back anyway. I stood there, pretending her words didn't pierce something deep inside me. Pretending this wasn't the woman I had once imagined a lifetime with. Pretending I wasn't watching someone I no longer recognized. She walked out with quick, confident steps, her heels tapping like a celebration march, while I stayed behind, needing a moment to breathe. 3 years of marriage ended with a laugh. That was her goodbye. Outside the courthouse, she didn't wait for me. She didn't offer even a last cold glance. She slid into a sleek black car, someone else's car, leaving as if those years meant nothing. I didn't chase. I didn't ask questions. Whatever she had already chosen no longer concerned me. The first few weeks after the divorce were eerily quiet. My apartment felt abandoned, stripped of her perfume, her arguments, her chaos. I spent my days buried in work, my nights trying to remember who I was before her. Before I let her words define my worth. Before I believed her when she said I wasn't exciting or ambitious enough. 9 months passed. I rebuilt everything she once mocked, my confidence, my stability, my sense of direction. I stopped living in the remnants of our marriage and started creating something entirely my own. And that's when fate decided to play its hand. I was attending a business conference at a luxury hotel, something I never would have done when Emily and I were together, mostly because she always said I didn't fit in that world. But there I was, shaking hands with people who respected me, presenting ideas that earned nods rather than dismissive glances. I didn't know Emily was at the same hotel. I didn't know her life had unraveled. I didn't know that the moment she saw me, 9 months after laughing her end, her face would pale, her confidence falter, regret pricking her eyes like tiny needles. But that moment was coming. After my final presentation, I walked through the hotel lobby feeling lighter than I had in years. Success carries a strange calm, steady, grounded, nothing like the desperate approval-seeking I did during my marriage. I was heading toward the elevator when I heard it. A familiar voice, one I never expected to hear again. Daniel. I froze, not because of the name, but because of the tone. It wasn't mocking. It wasn't dismissive. It was uncertain. I turned slowly. There she was, Emily, but not the same Emily who had laughed in court. Her hair was messy, her makeup smudged, as if she had hurriedly applied it or wiped away tears. She looked smaller somehow, stripped of the arrogance she used to wear like a crown. Her eyes widened, scanning me, trying to believe what she was seeing. My tailored suit, the conference badge, the quiet confidence she never allowed me to have around her. It all hit her at once. "You look different," she whispered. "I am," I replied simply. She stepped closer, almost timid. "I didn't know you were speaking here. I thought you'd moved away." "No," I said, measured. "I just moved on." Her lips trembled. We stood there for a long moment, the lobby buzzing around us while the reality between us tightened like a fraying thread. Finally, she spoke again. "Can we talk? Just for a moment." I didn't owe her anything. Not a conversation, not closure, not comfort. But there was something in her tone that wasn't desperate for attention. It was desperate for truth. And maybe, after everything, hearing it wouldn't hurt. We stepped onto the terrace. She wrapped her arms around herself, as if shielding from a cold only she could feel. "I made mistakes," she began. "I thought leaving you would make my life better. That being with someone more exciting, more powerful, would give me what I wanted." Her voice wavered, caught between pride and regret. "It didn't," she admitted at last, her voice cracking. "Everything I thought I wanted fell apart." I said nothing. I just watched her wrestle with the consequences of her own choices. "He left after 2 months," she confessed. "Said I wasn't worth the drama. And then everything else started slipping too." She looked at me, eyes glistening, searching for the man she once knew. But he wasn't there anymore. I exhaled slowly, letting her words hang in the air. For years, I had carried the hurt, the disbelief, the quiet anger being laughed at in a courtroom. And now, 9 months later, She was the one carrying the weight. "Emily," I said, calm, steady, "I won't lie, what you did hurt. But over these past months, I've learned something. My worth isn't tied to anyone's opinion. Not yours. Not anyone's." She flinched slightly, as if the truth cut too sharply. "I know," she whispered. "I see it now. I didn't know how much I lost until I saw you today. I let the silence stretch. There was no immediate satisfaction in watching her falter. This wasn't revenge. It was truth. The life I had rebuilt, the confidence I had reclaimed, the respect I had earned. It all existed without her. And she knew it. "You moved on," she murmured, almost a question. "I moved forward. I corrected. And forward is exactly where I'm staying. Alone, or with someone who respects me, not with someone who laughs at me when I trusted them most." Her gaze dropped to the terrace floor. I could see the flicker of regret, the realization that the years she spent trying to prove something to herself left her empty. She had mocked my patience, my quiet resilience, but she had underestimated how far I could rise without her. "I made a mistake," she murmured again. "A huge one." "I know," I said softly. "And you'll carry it, because this isn't something I'll fix. You'll live with the consequences." She nodded slowly. The fight in her eyes was gone. That arrogant, untouchable Emily had vanished. All that remained was someone learning, too late, that some things can't be taken back. For the first time in months, I felt no bitterness, only relief. Relief that I had stepped out of the shadow of her cruelty. We didn't hug. We didn't cry. We didn't shake hands or exchange pleasantries. We just stood there, two people who once shared everything, now defined entirely by the choices we made. And in that unbearable, quiet truth, I realized the final victory wasn't in her regret. It was in the life I had rebuilt for myself, free from her laughter, free from her games, and full of the respect I had always deserved. I turned, walking back toward the conference hall, leaving Emily to her thoughts, her mistakes, and the echo of a laugh that had once cut me deeply, but now only reminded me of how far I had come.